morning with the sunrise in my eyes. My rock's sweeter beneath the one I love. I don't know how, don't know why, but I've been toasting all my life. Oh, it's sweeter. I've been toasting all my life.
Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and thank you for tuning in to Live Penguin TV. My name is Stephen. I'm going to be your host tonight. I'm going to be controlling the cameras, trying to find you all those wonderful groups of penguins coming out of the ocean. And joining me, we have T.
Hello everybody, welcome again to another fascinating episode of Penguin Live TV. I'll be monitoring the questions on YouTube and passing on any really good ones to Stephen, because we're going to try and stump him tonight. Now, last night we had 1,385 penguins, and one of our YouTube Waddle Watchers has guessed 1237. So good on you, Beverly. Well done. If you were working with us, I reckon you would have won the chocolate.
That's right. You probably would have. That's a very close guess. I've been lucky enough to win the Penguin Lottery chocolate a few times.
Me
I
too.
always get the most optimistic guess. If there's usually 1,000 penguins coming in the night before, I'll always guess 2,000. I always go for the most number of penguins because every so often our penguin numbers tend to jump quite drastically. And so I'll win by default of just having the highest guess. So sometimes it pays to be optimistic around here. I like to be a bit optimistic about how many penguins are going to come out on an evening tonight. I hope we get 2,000 tonight. But the honest truth is we don't know how many penguins are going to come out. It's a bit of a random chance for us. The penguins don't tell us their plans. They don't tell us how many are coming home this evening, how many are staying out in the ocean. So we'll just have to leave it up to the penguins, and they'll let us know by the end of the night how many are coming through. Now tonight we have Tom, who is counting our penguins. He was joining me on the live stream a couple of nights ago. And he's going to be out there with a pair of binoculars doing his best to count all the penguins, which is just going to be fantastic to see. And Sky's actually going to be counting penguins. She's on that far stand in the distance. She's a bit nervous about counting penguins. She's not had too much experience doing it, but what she lacks in confidence, she is more than capable in making up with her ability. She's actually really good at counting the penguins. Let's have a quick look around as we're waiting. And as we're looking across this beautiful landscape, the beautiful beach that we have here, I want to take this moment to acknowledge the land we're viewing the penguins from. The Bunurong would be the traditional custodians of this land, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, and emerging. And maybe in the comments, let us know who the traditional custodians are of the land where you are viewing from. Always good to know. I think I see a little group of penguins down here. Let's zoom in. That's a waddle of penguins out of the ocean there. Well, it doesn't look like a waddle just yet. They're back in the ocean. Might be more of a raft than a waddle right now. So I want to say a big welcome to any new viewers who are watching tonight. If you don't know what you're looking at, you are watching us here at the Penguin Parade here on Phillip Island in Australia. And every night we have a live feed of penguins crossing the beach in a natural habitat going back to their burrows. And these penguins right here are called the little penguins. They're the smallest penguins in the world, about 33 centimeters tall, give or take, and they weigh around a kilogram in weight. And because they're the smallest penguins in the world, they're also the only penguins of all the 18 species of penguins we have. They're the only species of penguin that only come out at nighttime. The other species of penguins, it doesn't matter to them if they come out in the day or in the night. They don't have to worry about too many predators, so they'll come out whenever they like. But our penguins, they are susceptible to predation. There might be a few big scary birds of prey around in the daytime, so they wait until the sun goes down, and the sun has just gone down here, and they're making sure that the coast is clear. It'll be perfectly natural for them to rush back into the water if they're not feeling too secure. And it is quite early. Last night our penguins came out at, it was 8:43. So that's a good 13 minutes from now. I'm not sure if these penguins are going to be ready to come out just yet. But they might surprise us. You never know. It's a little bit more overcast tonight. So we'll just have to watch and see what they decide to do. Oh, and there they go. Back into the ocean. Perfectly normal behavior. Don't worry about our penguins. They know what they're doing. They're only going to come out of the ocean when they feel safe. And they don't feel safe just yet. Oh, fantastic. So here at the Penguin Parade, we're part of the Phillip Island Nature Parks, and we're lucky enough to be able to broadcast these penguins to you. We are a not-for-profit conservation organization, and we like to use this opportunity of bringing penguins into your home as a way to spread a bit of message about conservation and how to be environmentally friendly. So it's pretty fantastic by making a few good choices at home, being careful with your rubbish at home, using less plastic. You could actually help save our penguins' lives here on Phillip Island. Where are you guys going? You're cruising all the way over here, staying in the shallow waters. So we'll see if they do want to come out in the near future. They might just need another raft of penguins to swim up to them before they encourage them to actually make a crossing. Let's have a look at them and see what they do. But here at the Phillip Island Nature Parks, A lot of the work we do is taking care of our penguins here on the Summerland Peninsula. We also take care of some koalas at our koala reserve. We also have Churchill Island, and we take care of roughly 1,800 hectares of land on Phillip Island. That's almost 20% of Phillip Island under our jurisdiction. The entire southern coast, where all the beaches are, is under our care, and we are passionate about protecting the native flora and fauna. So we're doing a lot of good work, a lot of good conservation work, which does in turn help our penguins out. We do a lot of weed removals here at the Penguin Parade, getting rid of all of those invasive plants that don't help our penguins, don't help the native animals. And we plant in a lot of really good indigenous, really good native plants to take their place. And our penguins love that. They make their burrows under the plants we get to put out there. I know T and I, we spent a lot of time during the pandemic heading out into the field doing a lot of planting. I couldn't tell you how many plants we personally put down, but it feels what, hundreds? Thousands of plants. Yeah, it was a lot of plants. We had a lot of good hard work out in the field, and I know once these plants start to grow and get a bit more settled in, that our penguins are going to start using them for their own burrows. So I'm pretty happy, and I know T's pretty happy that we've been able to make some penguin homes, our future penguin homes for these little guys.
And we've even fixed up penguin boxes too.
We fixed up penguin boxes, that's right. Now, I'm sure you've seen a few of our penguin boxes. For all the return viewers who've been watching night after night, we've been able to zoom in on a few penguin homes, those wooden boxes, and they do tend to deteriorate over time. Our penguin boxes are not always made with the best of abilities. We get a lot of school groups that come around and they get a penguin talk, and they learn all about our penguins and the work we do to protect them, and at the end they get to build a penguin home. And so we have a lot of, year 9s, year 10s, first time really holding a hammer, desperately trying to make a penguin burrow, and the nails are sticking out in odd places here and there. So sometimes they're a little bit wonky. We do tend to fix them up, but that's all right. Even the best made box over time is going to deteriorate in the conditions we get here on Phillip Island. So every so often we go around, we do a bit of TLC, a bit of tender loving care on our penguin boxes that have been made, and make sure that our penguins are happy to use them. Now, if you wanted to help our penguins out, you could click the link in the description and go to our charity organization, the Penguin Foundation. You could adopt a penguin, become a penguin pal. There's a few choices on the ways you could donate, and our Penguin Foundation does a lot of work in helping to take care of our sick and injured penguins. They fund our wildlife clinic, but they also do a lot of work in providing money for research projects, conservation projects, a lot of really necessary funding to keep our conservation efforts thriving here on the island. All right, I'm just having a look at these penguins, wondering what their thoughts are. I reckon they're going to be waiting for the next raft of penguins to show up. I might zoom out a little bit. I know they're there. They're not in a big rush to get going. And if we're lucky, we might be able to spot another raft in the distance. Maybe, maybe not. But don't worry, we will keep an eye on these penguins. I'm going to shift back to them in the near future. I just want to see if there's any rafts of penguins out in the distance. Let me know if you see them in the comments. You might have better eyes than I do. It's about time I replace my prescription on my glasses. It's getting harder and harder for me to count the penguins when they cross the beach. Oh, don't see any along here. A whole bunch of silver gulls down there in the middle of the screen. Our native seagulls. They're no threat to our penguins, unlike the Pacific gulls. No, not a whole lot happening down this end of the beach. Nothing on Sky's end of the beach. That's all right. Our silver gulls here, they're no threat to our penguins. They're more scavengers than they are predators. So they might occasionally predate on somebody's fish and chips if they bring food down to our stands when they come to see our penguins, but otherwise they're no threat to the penguins. And in all fairness, I'd put my money on the penguins between a fight of the silver gulls and the penguins. Penguins are carnivores. They are very voracious eaters. They hunt animals out in the ocean, and the silver gulls are just scavengers. So I generally put my money on the predators. And interestingly enough, our little penguins here are considered one of the top predators around Phillip Island, especially around the waters around Phillip Island. They don't really have any predators that go after them on the ocean. There's no real seal colonies around here that will eat penguins. We do have one seal colony a ways down the coast, the Australian fur seals. About 20,000 or so of those seals live off the knobbies just a few kilometers down the road, but they do not hunt penguins. They don't eat penguins. And the other species of seals that might try to eat a penguin, they don't live around here, so they would be passers-by, a bit more of a nomadic, opportunistic hunter. They'd have to get lucky to spot the penguins out here, and they'd have to travel quite far to get to them. So our penguins, they don't really have many predators out on the ocean, so they're considered the top of the food chain, which you might not suspect, because they're quite small little creatures, aren't they? Do we have any questions, Dee?
No, we don't have any questions at the moment.
No questions yet. Come on,
But-
guys. Try and give me a hard one.
But
Yes.
we have got Dr. Beck answering questions on Facebook tonight.
That's right. So we've got Dr. Beck Overeem. She's one of our rangers here answering questions on Facebook tonight. She's a bit of a celebrity here at the Penguin Parade. So if you have any very, very hard questions that I can't answer, I'm sure she's going to be able to answer them tonight. She knows a lot more about penguins than I do. Oh, fantastic. I think we're pretty lucky to have Dr. Beck working tonight.
Extremely.
And yeah, we've been actually pretty lucky. We have another Dr. Beck who works, or Dr. Rebecca McIntosh, who works with our seals, a different Beck. And she's just won, we've just won, I should say, an award for distinction in biodiversity and ecosystem conservation category in the Victorian Marine Coastal Awards. And now what Dr. Rebecca McIntosh has done is she works with our seals. She's amazing. She goes out once a month to check our seals for entanglements. And these seals, the females weigh about 100 kilograms. And her job is if she sees a seal entangled in some rope or whatever, she'll sprint out there, jump on top of the seal, and then they'll cut the entanglement off the seal and let them go. So she's like our Steve Irwin of seals around here. She's fantastic. And one of the ways that she's been trying to help our seal population is doing a bit of a citizen science program. We've been using drones to fly over our seal colony and take pictures straight below. And we use all of those pictures to gather lots of data. And we get people to look at those pictures and to count how many seals they see. It's a great way of getting a population estimate. It's a very uninvasive way to get a population count of our seals just off the knobbies here. And used to be in the past, we'd head out to seal rocks on a boat, and a ranger would stand in a very tall place and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and try and count all the seals, which is not the most accurate way of doing it. But using our drone technology, we get lots of pictures in rapid succession, and seals don't move too quickly on land. So we'd be able to get a good estimate, a good count of how many seals are out there. And we've won an award for that, which is just fantastic. Hopefully in the near future, we'll be doing another survey of our seal colony. And who knows, we might be putting it up on our Facebook account if you wanted to join in and do some citizen science and help us to count the seals. I couldn't tell you when that's going to happen. I haven't talked to Dr. Beck McIntosh in a while. But yeah, if we're lucky, maybe that's something that we'll be doing again in the future, and you can help us out with it. I know a lot of you have been, there's a big raft of penguins swimming in the back there. I know a lot of you have been doing some really good penguin counting our penguins crossing the beaches in each of these groups. I think your skills would be very useful in our seal spotter challenges as well. Wow, that's a lot of penguins. That's going to join that first little waddle of penguins that's been waiting for them on the shore. I'm sure they're all going to join up and cross the beach together. Fantastic. Let's see if I can zoom in on them a bit more and see if the focus stays. It's a little bit blurry. Not too bad. All right, so give us a guess at how many penguins you think might be crossing the beach in this first group. Now, the trick is wait for them to cross enough of the beach so that you know how many are in the first group. Because sometimes what happens is all of the penguins will start coming out of the beach, coming out of the ocean, crossing the beach, and then you might get 10, 20, 30 at the back who just turn around and run back into the ocean, and the rest all cross. So you don't want to count those 10, 20, or 30 penguins if they're not actually in the group. That'll make sure your count is wrong. So we have to be careful when we're counting our penguins. And Tom, he's not going to be counting the penguins just yet. He might be looking over at these penguins, getting a good idea of how many there are. He might be looking at it and say, oh, maybe 150 in this group. I didn't count them. That's just a random number I chose. And he might be saying, oh, maybe there's around that many in this group. And he'll be looking all across the rest of the beach, trying to see if any other groups are coming out. And as soon as they cross that point of no return, halfway across the beach, 3/4 of the way across the beach, then he's going to start counting them. And that's the way to guarantee that we're not counting too many penguins or any penguins that turn around. Because you can see there's a few penguins at the back. They've already turned around and gone back into the ocean. All right, Tom's just called a start to the count. That means he's about to start counting these penguins. He said that they've crossed that point of no return, so now he's counting them. So give it your best go. Tell us how many penguins you think are in this first group. Let me get a better angle of them on you. There, I'll just leave it here before they enter the rocks. That might help you to get a good count. There's quite a few in this first group. I don't know. Make sure you put in the comments how many you think you see. That's quite a few. Now, I know they're kind of disappearing behind me right here, but there's a few in the back. I'll zoom out a bit. Let's see if there's any more behind them. Just a few in the back. Don't forget those ones in the back. Alrighty. Let's go back to these guys. I love watching them scrambling over the rocks. Any questions yet, T?
One question from Denise. How does a female penguin know that she's about to have eggs?
Great question from Denise, wondering how do female penguins know if they're about to have an egg? And it's all due to the hormones. They got all these hormones going through their body that kind of indicate to them. I'd say it's different than how a human female would know she's about to go into labor. It's same in that the hormones go a little crazy when you're about to go into labor and you feel that need to push. Different for penguins. I don't necessarily think they get the need to push as the same way people do, but the hormones change and let them know. And it's just almost an instinctual knowledge that it's going to be happening soon. So our female penguins, while they don't go through the same thing that humans do, the differences are not as drastic as you might think. They still go through those hormone changes the same way they know that they're about to start molting. So when a penguin comes home and they know they're going to lose all their feathers, they go through a hormone change to push out all their old feathers and grow in the new feathers. It's a good indicator. They learn to listen to their bodies. But I've never had the chance to actually ask a penguin if they have the need to push when they have an egg. I have to work on my penguin lingo. Maybe if I become fluent in little blue penguin talk, they'll tell me one day. What a great question, Denise. I love these guys just scrambling over the rocks.
We've had a couple of guesses of that first group, and there was a couple that were relatively close, but we actually had 280.
280 penguins. Wow, that's a big group to start the night. Ooh, I think I might be lucky with the chocolate bar tonight. With first group of 280 penguins. Wow. And that was my first number. I said 150, so I was way off. Not even close. Tom is one of our most experienced rangers here. He knows how to count the penguins. All right, here they go, scrambling over the rocks. They've pretty much made it all the way across the beach. You can see that the sand dunes are just at the bottom of the screen, and that's where the penguins will start to feel a little more safe, a little more secure than they would on the beach anyways. We do have some lucky people who are viewing our penguins here at the Penguin Parade tonight. I think there's about 25 people down on the Penguins Plus stand, nice and close to these penguins. I do hope that some of you will be able to come see our penguins tonight. Or not tonight, in the future. It's pretty special to be able to come here in person and watch these guys waddle their way home. Because here on Live Penguin TV, we're watching the penguins on the beach, but we tend to lose track of them once they go a bit farther into the colony. So it's a bit special to be here in person, hear the noises of the penguin colony, get the smells, the aroma of the penguin colony. They are quite pungent, our penguins, especially during the summer months when they have babies. Anybody who's had babies, you know the babies smell. And penguin babies, penguin chicks, they're no different. They're quite smelly too. But you want to make sure you get all of the experience when you come here to the penguin parade, smells and all. Nice little group of penguins going up this first pathway up the hill here. They tend to bottleneck here at the bottom of the hill. It's quite a significant hill that they have to climb. I like to think that they're a bit intimidated by the massive hike that they have to go through, so they're just having a moment to rest, gather their thoughts, make sure they're ready. Oh, we got some coming down the Penguin Highway. All right, let's look at these guys. I love this Penguin Highway camera. Watching these penguins waddling their way across, up close and personal.
So whilst we're watching them on the highway, I've got one question.
Mm-hmm.
Why do penguins keep falling when they're waddling? Have they got a full tummy? Have they got a sore foot?
Why are penguins falling when they waddle? Well, they don't have the best balance in the world. They're not used to walking on land. I should say they don't have the best balance on land. Penguins spend about 80% of their life on the ocean. And if you spend so much time in a completely different environment out on the water, and then you make a sudden transition onto land, and it's like they've got sea legs. They're a little bit wobbly after getting out of the ocean. They might lose their balance from time to time. Ooh, another little group going on past. Lovely. These guys are in a rush to get home. But as you can see, when they're on the flat ground, they generally don't fall over too much. And even on the rocks, they might not fall over too much. But if you're hiking over really big boulders yourself, I'm sure you might have a few slips, trips, and falls, even though we're used to walking around on our feet all day. Not all day, but every day. Even the most avid of us that go out onto the oceans probably don't spend 20% swimming. 20% of our lives swimming every day. But these little guys, they much prefer the water. So, ooh, little shell gritter. Is that a shell gritter? Not sure. You might have seen those people up there and got a little bit spooked. That's all right. They will manage to make their way where they need to go. We've got a bit of a traffic jam happening in this penguin burrow right here. Must be a party. Not sure if they're within the limits of how many people are allowed to be in one house, but oh, they saw me looking at them. They're starting to disperse, starting to separate. It's all right. I'll leave them in peace. Penguins are not, they don't have to deal with the same laws that we have to. They can have as many as they like in one burrow as long as they're all getting along.
I've got a question from Jenny, Stephen.
A question from Jenny, yes?
Yep. Jenny wants to know how big are the burrows and how many penguins fit in them or live in them?
Great question. I saw an animal around here. What was that? So Jenny was wondering how big are penguin burrows and how many penguins can fit in them. So a natural penguin burrow is, well, if you look at the boxes, that's pretty much a good size of what a natural penguin burrow. I'll switch to the highway camera while I'm talking. What a natural penguin burrow would look like. It's a good imitation. Oh, those penguins are too fast for me. I might give that one a rest and wait for the next groups. I like to say that on a fairly average sized penguin burrow, a natural one, if I was to put my arm down it to closed fist, it'd be from my fist to about my shoulder would be about as deep as you would ever get, maybe a bit less. Did he say a big group?
Tom did say a big
hold
group.
Hold on, don't give us a number just yet. Let's go zoom over to these guys. Where are you? Another big group coming out. Let's see if I zoom out, there might be even more. Ooh, too far, too quickly. I got a little excited with the zooms there, sorry. Wow! Another nice big group coming out. Fantastic. Let's zoom in on these guys coming home, stumbling over the rocks. Second part of that question was, how many penguins can fit inside of a burrow? The most I've ever seen of adults in one burrow was 3 adults. It was a male and 2 females. If there's 2 males, they'd probably fight more than you would like for them to be able to stay. But I have seen a male and 2 females spending the daytime in a burrow together. 3 adults is as much as you'd ever see. 2 adults is typical. That's as much as you'd really see. And our penguins, when they have babies, they have 2 babies. So you could have 2 adults and 2 babies squished together in one burrow. But when our babies are old enough to thermoregulate, enough to maintain their own body temperatures, and they don't have to have mom or dad around to keep them warm, they might get a little bit lonely the first time they've been left at home alone. And sometimes you'll see babies squishing together in their neighbor's burrow. They got a couple of kids over there as well. And you can see upwards of maybe 6 babies all huddled together in a big fluffy little pile in one burrow, which is really cute to see as one gigantic fluff ball. I do want to remind everybody tomorrow night, I forgot to mention this at the start, we do have our bilingual stream where Helen and Sky will be streaming in Japanese. And what reminded me was when I said those fluffy babies, last time Helen did the Japanese stream, she was teaching everybody the word for fluffy in Japanese, which is fwa-fwa. So, yeah, there's a big old fwa-fwa ball of penguins in one little burrow. Who knows? I'm trying to get Helen to teach a new Japanese word every stream, but I'm not sure what word's going to be next. Look at these guys. There's so many penguins just gathered around on these rocks, making their way over these rocks, stumbling around. You can see, bit of a stumble there. Had to do a big jump, tripped over their own feet. That's a tripping rock right there. It's gotten a few penguins. But don't worry, penguins have a very low center of gravity. They don't have far to fall. So a small trip, a small slip is not going to harm our penguins. They'll be fine. I just heard Sky call over the radio a group of 48 penguins over on East Stand. So send your love to Sky. She's doing her best to count all the penguins. All right. Love these guys. Ooh, just lost track of a few of them. Gathering up here at the bottom of the hill. Getting ready to go. He's got quite a big climb ahead of him. I might swap over to the Penguin Highway as our penguins are making their way in front of the camera and getting ready to go on their journey home. Look at that. Zoom's a little off on this one. The focus is a little off. We'll see if we can fix that for you. Oh, this penguin's checking himself out in the glass, making sure he's looking big and tough and beautiful. Can't get in there, buddy. There's no home for you. You got to keep going. That's all right.
So I've got another question, Stephen.
Another question, yep.
Yep. Sue B wants to know, how do fledged penguins know where to go when they come back home from their first big fishing trip?
So when a penguin fledges, you want to know how they know where to go? Do you mean, well, they wouldn't go back into, well, they shouldn't go back into their mom or dad's burrow. After they've gone into their first big fishing trip, they're no longer welcome back at home, really. But penguins have a pretty good memory. They generally go back to the same area as where they were hatched, where they were born, if you like. They might grow up in the same, they might live in the same neighborhood that they grew up in, but they might not be welcome back in mom and dad's house, especially if they're trying for more chicks. They definitely don't want freeloading, adult penguins, adult children, if you will, trying to mooch all the food off their newborns, or their new hatchlings, I should say. But they have a very good memory. So when the penguins go down into the ocean for the first time, they kind of remember the pathway that they took. They use their visual cues And they might form a memory when they go out. They might not. They might end up in a completely different area if they get turned around a bit too much and lose track of where they were. But no, they just follow their instincts, using what senses they have to find their way back, at least close to home when they come back, if they're lucky enough to do so. All right, let's go back to this. I love this camera right here. Just the massive amount of penguins all gathered up on the resting rocks, preening themselves. Bit of a stop like at the spa, making sure that they are well manicured, well groomed. Beautiful. Love these guys. Let's see if I can zoom in on them, maybe get some of that preening behavior on camera. You can see they got their beaks and they're just scritching their own chest. You might see them reaching around to their tails. Just above their tails, they have an oil gland where they get the oil all over their beaks, and then they spread that oil from their beaks onto their feathers, making sure that they keep that waterproof coating, which is so vital for a penguin's survival. And it's one of the reasons why we need to keep our penguins nice and healthy. And might bring in one of our little plushies here. We got these little stuffed penguin, a little plushie here with a penguin jumper on the back. And I always ask kids, why do you think we give penguins a jumper? And almost always kids say it's to keep them warm, which is not really the main reason why we do it. The main, especially here in Australia where the penguins are not needing to keep too warm, the main reason we put these penguin jumpers on our penguins is when they get covered in oil. A penguin is going to try and clean themselves the same way they preen themselves. If they get covered in an oil spill out in the ocean, they're going to use their beaks and they're going to try and get that oil off their feathers using their beaks. But unfortunately, oil is quite toxic to penguins. So if they ingest even a 10-cent size piece of oil, it'll probably end up killing them. Just a tiny amount of oil. So what we do is we put our jumpers on our penguins when they get home if they're covered in oil, make sure that they can't clean themselves, and then we scrub them with soapy water. At least that's how we used to do it. And we make sure that we can clean them safely, make sure that the penguins are not going to suffer. Ooh, we've got a couple of shell gritters here on this camera. And once they've managed to recover, once you manage to get all the oil off them, the penguins are then going to start to preen themselves again and re-oil themselves with their natural oils and not the toxic oils that come from ships. And when they're ready and they're fully waterproof again, they'll head back out into the ocean. Now I say we used to use soapy water. We've got a new bit of technology that we've developed here at the Penguin Parade, thanks to the Penguin Foundation and thanks to a bunch of donors who have given us grants over the years. And it's called the Magic Wand. And this is my favorite invention in the whole world. I think it's got the best name. Because what the Magic Wand is it's a device that helps to get oil off of our penguins. And what we do is we sprinkle our penguins with a magic powder. When any penguin that's covered in oil, sprinkle them with a magic powder. The powder goes onto the oil, we wave a magic wand, and the oil's gone. That's really what happens, but little less fantasy. What happens is we sprinkle our penguins with a bit of an iron oxide powder. It soaks up the oil on the feathers, and the magic wand that we use is a magnetic wand. So iron's quite it's magnetized, so you can get it off the penguins using a magnet. We use a powerful earth magnet, and it sucks up all the iron shavings off of our penguins, and the oil comes with it. And that's a much less stressful thing for our little penguins than being dunked in a body of warm soapy water and being scrubbed. Put a jumper back on the penguins, let them recover for a bit, bring them back to the body of water, scrub them again with soapy water. You might have to scrub a penguin up to 7 times to get the oil off them, which is very stressful. Each time you give a penguin a bath is a very stressful experience for them. But if we can wave a magic wand and get the oil off them much faster in a much less invasive way, it's better for the penguins, and it's almost like we're doing actual magic. So these magic wands haven't been field tested yet here. We haven't had an oil spill off Phillip Island recently, which is a really good thing. We don't want an oil spill. But I'm sure once we... Ooh, that's a big tubby penguin. I'm sure once we do get an actual field test, we'll be able to get this out into the world, use it on not only penguins, but other species of animals as well. One shell gritter coming down, going the other way, and a whole bunch of males and females heading back to their... Ooh, 2 shell gritters heading back to their burrows. A mother's group heading down. I think it's a mother's group. They always get a little bit confused when they see so many penguins going the other way. But they know what their cravings are telling them. They're going to go the way they need to get to all that lovely shell grits that they need to help satisfy.
They get baby brain.
Unless they get baby brain and get a bit distracted. You never know.
I did see that the other night.
Oh, sorry, I had the wrong camera up there. I thought I had the highway camera up and I had the regular one. Hopefully you are watching in the top right corner. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Still getting used to this new technology we have.
I've got one question from Sue W. I don't know the answer to this one.
Uh-oh, it's a tough one from Sue W.
It is, do penguins have different blood types like humans?
Well, so I did a bit of research because we were asked that question on Monday. And my research was not quite conclusive. The general consensus is yes, probably, as long as there's no follow-up questions. Yes, I'm going to go with yes. I really couldn't find a good answer for that. I might have to leave that to Beck Overeem to answer, because she's fantastic. She knows so much about penguins. I'm sure she's done blood work on the penguins in the past. So good on you, Beck. See if you can answer that one for me, because I'm not entirely confident with my knowledge on penguin blood types. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left in the stream. So if you have any more of those difficult questions, don't be shy. Feel free to ask them. Yeah, I did spend some time Googling that one, but I wasn't entirely confident with the sources I managed to dredge up. So I'm going to go with an uncertain yes. Oh, fantastic. Love those groups. It's going to be a good number of penguins tonight. Make sure you put a guess in the comments as to how many penguins you think might be coming home. This resting rocks have just been packed all night long. We've got another massive group coming along. I'll see if I can zoom out and see how many are there. Wow. Another great night of penguins. It's so fun watching this night after night. We never know how many penguins are going to be coming home, but when it's the breeding season, we like to make bets that it's going to be a large number of penguins. 1,000 penguins we consider a large number, and anything over that's a bit of a bonus for us. Fantastic.
I've got one personal question for you, Steve.
A personal question, uh-oh.
Yep, from Adam.
From Adam.
He wants to know, what province are you from?
What province am I from? Well, I'm from Canada, so I come from a province called Alberta. And I have a brother named Adam, and I'm not sure if that was him or not. So if not, you have the same name as my oldest brother, and it is a little bit cheeky at times. Fantastic. I love these guys. Just resting on the rocks, preening themselves, doing what they do. I might have a look around in the colony and see if there's any shenanigans happening up in the bush. Whoa, a bit of a traffic jam happening here again. Nothing to stop these penguins from going up the hill other than the fact that there is quite a large hill in front of them. Now the grass is no longer as lush and green as it was, so we do have a chance to see them traveling up a little more easily. Not seeing too many penguins around. We can see the pathway that they're standing on right there. But I'm not sure why they're stopping. Penguins, sometimes they like to stop on this pathway, but sometimes they just keep going. Depends on how they're feeling at the time. Is that just the one penguin in there? 2 penguins. Trying to see, are those chicks? Don't know. The camera's not really helping me out too much. I think they might be chicks. They look a little bit fluffy around the neck. What do you reckon? T, can you see if they're chicks?
They look like chicks to me.
They do look like chicks to me. I need to check those chicks out in the daytime when it's a bit more bright. When it's nighttime, yeah, they look like chicks to me. Little baby penguins. I couldn't tell you how old they are. It's a little too fuzzy for my eyes to spot. Alrighty. Was that a guess at their age? Oh, I thought you had a number out. You thought how old they might be. Not sure. I couldn't tell you how old those ones are, but maybe tomorrow night when Sky's in charge of the stream, she'll be able to spot them and give you a good guess. I know Helen will have a really solid guess at their ages. She's very knowledgeable about penguins as well. Now, as we're wrapping up and as the penguins are coming home still in numbers, but I'm guessing those numbers might start diminishing soon. It's usually around this mark that the groups start to get smaller. A few stragglers coming up at the back there. I'll see if there's any. No big groups as of yet. Oh, I take that back. There's a big group just below. Yeah, they're still coming in large numbers, which is great to see. If you're going to guess how many penguins are coming in tonight, guess high. That's the best advice I can give you. Easily over 1,000. Is it over 2,000? I hope so. That way I get a chocolate bar.
I'll go 1,800.
T's guessing 1,800. I don't think you're allowed to guess after the count started. That's a bit cheeky. We have to guess before the count starts. Otherwise, the penguin counter would get the chocolate bar every single night. Now, if you did want to continue helping us, you're helping us by watching this stream and learning about how what our penguins are doing and all the dangers that they might face out on the ocean, like marine debris and all the rest. But if you wanted to help our penguins out, you could donate to our Penguin Foundation, our charity organization. And any donations that they do get do go back into helping our penguins and other native animals around here on Phillip Island. And what we're trying to do is to give these lovely penguins a safe place to call home. They are wild animals. They choose to live here. They've chosen to live here for the last thousands and thousands of years. I couldn't tell you exactly how long penguins have been on Phillip Island, but they've been here since forever, basically. And we want to keep it that way. We want to keep this a wild habitat, a little sanctuary for our penguins. Let them do what they do best. Go out fishing, catch lots of beautiful fish, bring home to their babies, feed their babies, and continue to grow. And if you wanted to help them out, donate to our Penguin Foundation. You can symbolically adopt one of our penguins. You can become a penguin pal, and you would be helping out our lovely penguins, keeping them wild and free here on Phillip Island, which is just fantastic to see. Another mothers group heading down to the beach. There's so much action, I just don't want to end the stream tonight. But we are going to have to say goodbye to you soon. I know that there will be, hopefully, some of you coming to see our stream tomorrow. I might tune in and see what's being said. I do speak a bit of Japanese, so I might be able to translate a few of the comments that Helen makes during the stream. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.
Thank
Bye.
you.